of Action podcast where we bring warriors on this podcast who felt like a zero, but they didn't realize that they had a hero inside. And I'm honored to bring on Coach Raj, also known as the Sleep Master, because he's bringing the heat so that way you can cool down and sleep at sunlight at night, have that energy to take it on up. And I'll be your host. My name is Zach, and let's get to it. Raj, glad to have you. Finally, to meet you.
Appreciate you for having me on, brother. Excited for the podcast.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Raj?
For sure, man. So I am a online fitness coach, traveling, currently been traveling a little bit, Mexico, US. I'm Indian, born and raised in Hong Kong. I played college tennis, started my business last semester of school. And then by the time I graduated, just went full time, and it's been going well since then.
Awesome. So what's with all the traveling? You traveling for business, for pleasure, a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both, man. Honestly, one of my main goals is to open up a gym in 2 years. So before then, I want to, travel around, figure out what's a good location. Because I know once I do, I'm gonna have to be in one place for 6 months minimum.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's awesome that you want to do both like online and in-person coaching.
Mm. Honestly, I don't know if I'd be coaching at the gym. Just more to, just have a nice, culture, a place to train. Could do a few things with it. So.
Okay, so going just beyond what you're doing now, just like in addition to. Okay. Gotcha. Sure. Nice. So then how's so do you speak like Chinese, or since you said you were Indian born in like Hong Kong?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty horrendous with languages.
Okay.
Like I know just enough to get around the basics. Like I know my address, tennis courts, food, directions, that kind of thing. Okay. But I never got to the point where I was fluent and good enough to like have a legit long conversation with someone.
Well, it's still pretty cool to say. You don't really hear about that too much. So it's always kind of cool to meet people where they're kind of from, and especially with Twitter and how it kind of brought us together, people from who would have never met in life. So it's kind of cool that no matter where you are, I mean, you can always bring that connection. So what is something that you so in this podcast, we really want to kind of help men out who kind of maybe feel like they're kind of down on their luck, not really sure what they want to do in life. So like, what is something that, can you like relate to that in some way or something like that?
Yeah, for sure, man. I failed 4 businesses before finding coaching, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just know that I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 for, the rest of my life. So I was trying things, but didn't really commit and had no idea, right? And I feel like I only stumbled across coaching my last semester of college because there was that urgency of, having interviews, got to sort out my work visa, parents asking me what are my post-graduation plans. So I wanted to get something sorted before then. So I feel like definitely just having some sense of urgency is key. And also not expecting yourself to figure it out like on the first try or second try, or even third.
I think you just hit it on the head on the nail with that one. Because I think it's like, especially in this days, and I've even felt it to some degree, where it's like you have to have everything like all figured out. Like I remember being a kid, it's like, okay, I got to figure out what I'm going to go to school, what I'm going to do for my career, like just so much. And it's like, life is not like that. Life is so much more fluid, and we're going to have all these different experiences. And the more that you kind of get into personal development and even hearing other people's stories, you really get to realize that how many times they failed. They even encourage you to fail, which is kind of funny. That for me, that took a lot of time for that to change my thought process, because obviously going up in school, you're taught there was one answer, unless you're like in literature where poetry could mean 10,000 different things, and you have a philosophical discussion on that. But mostly it was always like one thing that they're looking for. So it's like you had to have it all figured out. And as someone who works in mental health, I say all the time where people kind of get really discouraged about not knowing where they want to be, they're not where they want to be. So I think that's something that we can really relate on. And obviously with you having failed 4 businesses and trying that, I'm glad the 5th one worked out.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, honestly, I knew I was just gonna keep trying until something figured out. And if the 5th one didn't work out, I was just gonna, get a regular 9 to 5 and then try to figure out something on the side. So I think that's a good way for most people to start. Just try something on the side, see if it works, if it clicks. And I think once you get to the point where you're making, X amount of money with, 2-3 hours a day, you can compare that to the amount of time you're spending on your 9 to 5 or your regular, your job, your main gig. And you could, do the simple maths and identify, okay, look, if I left this, I could have twice the time, three times the time. And you could like, justify, is it the right time to go all in? That's what honestly most people are in that type of position. So
Yeah.
mm.
So, like, how's your family responding to you kind of going more the entrepreneurship kind of route?
Yeah, man. So they didn't know about the four businesses.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one, they didn't know until I told them like 4 months in when I already had like three clients.
Okay.
And I wanted to show them some results first before saying. So they were telling me, like, how's the interviews going? Where's your job application? Like, what's the process? How's it going? Keep us updated. I was like, just give me a week and I'll tell you everything. So I made this
Hmm.
presentation for them, showed them like client results, growth, goals, like sneak peeks and like features of how my coaching works, future projections, all that kind of stuff. And then
Wow,
based on
you
that,
really thought
I
that
just like
through.
presented to them. Yeah, no, I had to come prepared because I knew that they're the kind of people who, which rightly so, but they need evidence to be like convinced. They're not just gonna be convinced easily. Because I had to convince them that this was gonna be better than taking a safe job, 9 to 5
Right.
sales position. And I knew that wasn't just I had to have proof. So I did that and they thought about it for a couple of days and then they're like, yeah, it looks good, go for it. And give it a shot for a year or two. If it doesn't work out, you can, always do something else. I was like, perfect. And, obviously like sometimes they're hesitant to the places I decide to travel to. They think it's a little dangerous, but at the end of the day, they have accepted that this is what I want to do for the next few years. And I
Hmm.
always come back home at least a month a year to see
Oh,
them
nice.
on like their birthday or something.
No, it's really special. And I think that's something that kind of gets actually lost. And that's kind of a good kind of segue into things is that we have these dreams, we have these ambitions, but we don't really take time to kind of write them out. And what does that look like? So, and sometimes we can get really defensive if someone asks us a question and we may not have the
Mm,
answer to. So it's like we can get kind of quick with a response, like, well, just trust me, it's going to work out. I don't know how, but it's going to work out. And, especially when your parents love you and care about you, they want to make sure you're safe and sound.
mm,
Whether that's even like having a safe job in the beginning, and then you can kind of branch out to do what you want to do.
yeah.
So I think that's awesome that you took that initiative, knowing your basically how you work with your clients. You know your audience, so you know your family. And we're like, okay, I got to make sure I have
Mm,
projections, numbers are right, and client results. And
mm,
that's good for you to give yourself that week to really just prepare for it. So that way, hopefully, some guy could lose an extra 3 or 4 pounds. Like, see, yep, this guy lost an extra 3 or 4 pounds since working with me, and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. Like, look at you go.
for sure, man. For sure. And I think also like part of it's understanding like that they were, born, raised in different times.
Mm-hmm.
Where what I'm doing now is not like as mainstream as it is. Where,
Right.
now it's not that rare to see people living the digital nomad lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
building online businesses. But, 20, 30 years ago, it barely existed, if that.
Right.
So it's like for them, they only know the safe route. That's familiar. So if I was going to propose a completely different route, I knew I had to come prepared, make it, very logical, clear, and give them some sense of like certainty because I didn't obviously want them to be, nervous or uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, that's really smart, man. And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 23, bro.
23. That's really smart for a 23-year-old. Like,
Thanks, bro.
seriously, like you're like leagues ahead of a lot. Because I remember when I was going through, because at 23, I was in grad school at that point,
Okay.
and I knew a lot of people who didn't. They had an idea what they wanted to do, but they didn't really know what they wanted to do, and they're obviously at that point were going for an advanced degree. So for you to
Mm,
have that really well thought out, that on the forefront of your mind of how far you want to potentially take something, whether it's the nomad lifestyle, we can kind of do what you want and go different places and coach that we can kind of see, get more enriched and have different trains of thought, especially with different cultures and different groups take on exercises in different ways.
mm, 100%.
So have you had that kind of experience where like going from Mexico or some other places you've been to, we kind of talk with people who do different exercises at all?
I would say not like different exercises per se. I
Mm-hmm.
would just say, you notice different societal or cultural norms in
Okay,
terms of
sure.
exercise and food. But like, I mean, most gyms have the same equipment, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I wasn't sure if there's like if you want to take, I guess, martial arts a little bit, how there's always like, even though it's relatively the same end goal, there's a different like fluid to getting it. I guess the difference between, I guess, doing like a bicep curl and like kind of twisting a little bit to get that different type of muscle. I wasn't sure if it's gonna be more like that kind of aspect. So what
mm,
kind of cultural differences have you noticed between, let's say, the US and Mexico, or another place that you've been to?
I don't know. I just feel like some places people walk more, and that's more normal. Some places,
Mm.
they just order in more. Some places have more, organic, cheaper foods. These kind of things. It's different place to place.
Okay, that makes sense. It's definitely a lot of cultures that definitely take the benefit of walking a lot. And I know because I went to when I went to school, I actually went to a pretty diverse school where we had actually a lot of
Mm,
Indians and Asians and the whole mixture really. And I know a lot of them would sometimes eat late at night. I'll be surprised by sometimes how late they eat, but I know that they walk a lot.
mm,
So it's because it would always look really nice. I mean, very colorful, clothing, and but it looks really nice. And then that kind of see them walk. I mean, where I'm around, there's actually quite a few, which is kind of cool to see. Being in kind of more of a diverse kind of area and just trying to get to know the different cultures, especially as it relates to a lot of that health and nutrition.
mm, for sure, for sure.
So let's see here. So what's been your favorite place to travel to?
It's a tricky one, man. I feel like it's either gotta be Mexico. I think it's gotta be Mexico, man. Cancun specifically.
Okay, I've never
Yeah.
been to Cancun, but I know it's beautiful and like a gorgeous resort. I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's really good beaches, good food. Everything's just good vibes. People are nice there. So can't complain. Gyms are pretty sick too.
Oh, are there any differences in the gym? Just in terms of maybe like no, same type of
Yeah,
equipment?
same thing. Yeah.
So I guess what's cool about it is it just like a different style to it? Like what makes it like that's like this like the gyms are just like extra cool.
I'd say it's the vibe
Okay, so the
in
people
the
in
sense that specifically in Mexico, I feel like people for some reason they were just training extra hard and there was just like a view which was nice.
oh that's gotta be cool, bud. To
Yeah,
really to see that and experience that.
for sure, man.
So what kind of got you into health and exercise?
So I'd say first it was getting into tennis. Then around 16 to 17, started hitting the weight room.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there's multiple reasons, man. I would say number one was just for like tennis purposes. Number two was um, number two was I would say it was mostly due to just like not feeling confident. I was like, I just felt like didn't feel like happy. I knew something was wrong. I wasn't like really upset, but I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
know I could do something more. And also, we were doing a drill, and for tennis, and one of my coaches were like, "Yo, you need more power. You're gonna start hitting the weight room." This was around 16. So I feel like since then, that was a big moment for me.
That's awesome. And then did you notice the difference when did you take your coach's advice?
Yeah, for sure. But the first year or two, I was making a lot of like rookie mistakes, so the progress was pretty slow. It was very gradual. It wasn't like fast or anything.
Well, I guess you took the compound effect to heart then, making
For sure, man.
small incremental changes. And then, I mean, I know a lot of runners will spend like 10 years just to shave a couple seconds off. So I guess it took you maybe a few more years to be able to hit the ball just a little bit better.
Mm.
No, and so did you, when you played tennis, did they help you like to develop the kind of muscle you needed to really hit the ball a little bit harder?
No, honestly, it was mostly just like footwork, balance, agility, and like endurance type of thing.
Okay.
They would like rotate. So we do a lot of jump rope, a lot of like runs, uphill runs, circuits, but not much like hypertrophy type stuff.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I've never really seen the tennis players hit the gym. I mean, I never really paid attention necessarily who was in the tennis. I knew like a few of the guys that were on the tennis when I was in high
Mm,
school, but I was mostly on the swim team when I was in high school. So,
nice. Swimming's a
so
good sport, man. I feel like that's one of my favorite forms of cardio because it's very low impact. So
hmm
it's like you're not gonna get injured, and you can kind of control how far or how intense you want to go. You could just go for a nice chill swim, or you could go like crazy hard.
you're gonna go crazy hard. It's gonna be the butterfly.
Yeah, for me, it's breaststroke all day,
Oh, really? Interesting.
mm, every time.
I guess yeah, we're getting that more of that kicking power.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, for me, I just think it's the easiest one.
Oh, the easiest one. I took the opposite out. Yeah, no, it's definitely the easiest one. You can kind of like take your time, almost be like a little bit like a frog, kind of just going up.
Yeah.
So, how are you using fitness to really help your family, your friends, and your community? Have you noticed like any of your friends kind of help, like when you get, because typically you see that, like when one person kind of gets more in shape, kind of either some friends might like follow suit, other might like, what are you doing? So, like, how did your
Mm.
friends or your community respond to you actually taking more charge of like really watching what kind of foods you eat?
Yeah, so I would say I don't take a very proactive approach to that. Like, I'm not just gonna
Okay,
go up to people and be like, "You should do this. You should do that." I don't like doing that.
right.
But if someone like asks me my opinion on something or comes for me for advice, I'll try to help them out. Um, but yeah, I'd say like a few of my friends earlier, a couple of years ago, they like were extremely interested in improving certain aspects. So when I see like someone's really interested and just wants to know and wants to like learn really fast, then I'm like super happy to talk about it and it like interests me. But I feel like there's only so much you can do. So it's just like do your thing, lead by example, and then if someone's interested, they'll ask. If not, they won't.
Awesome. So, how long did it take you to kind of develop your coaching program? Like,
So
what kind of
honestly, man, I'm
coach?
just always making iterations. So
hmm
um, I got my first client year and a half ago, and started out with Google Sheets, Google Docs, weekly calls, WhatsApp, and now implemented a few new changes. Use Trainerize, that kind of thing, and still always making iterations based on client feedback, trying to make it as easy as possible to get results.
hmm
Not always implementing new things or taking away things, changing things. And I think that's the way it should be, right? Because you should never get a service to where you're like, oh, it cannot be improved anymore. It's
Right.
perfect. So yeah, I can't give you a number on like how many iterations.
No, that's fine. No, I know it's just all about life, making those small little changes to make it better and being receptive to kind of feedback
Mm.
to how to make things better. And I think that's what makes a great coach is that you're also coachable too.
For sure. No, I definitely think like if you see like if you look at most coaches out there, they do have coaches or multiple. So I think that's everyone has can benefit from learning from someone a couple steps ahead of them, whether it's in business, fitness, something else. Like, never hurts.
Yeah. And I think I heard this. I don't know where I heard it from, but I think even Oprah had like three coaches of her own. And you think of how
Damn.
successful she is. And, she probably still needs to always find that one area to improve upon, even though she's been doing her show for what, 20 plus years at this point and everything
Yeah, man.
else. So, no, it's awesome that you're receptive to that feedback. And, it takes a strong
Mm.
person to be like, you know what? Maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and really look at something and make sure everything looks good and clean and consistent.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's just about setting a few KPIs. Whether that's for business, for fitness, whatever goal you have, and then if you're hitting them, keep doing what you're doing. If you're not, make some adjustments or do what you're doing, but just do it better or do more of it. I think that's it. Like if
Yeah.
you're not hitting your goals, there's a reason behind them, and you can just work back, figure it out.
Now, is there a certain clientele that you like to work with?
Are there certain clients I like to work with?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I work with 100% of entrepreneurs right now.
Okay.
And I find that they're the easiest to work with because they already have a lot of the right skill sets in place, like discipline. They're usually very metric based. So they like quantifying their progress. They like
Mhm.
seeing, trends and getting that clarity. And they're, just people who are easy to communicate with, just cool guys. So yeah, I definitely enjoy working with them. And I feel like it's very important for, entrepreneurs to, have their health in order. Not being anything crazy, but at least good enough where you feel pretty high energy most of the time. And yeah, especially with like an unpredictable schedule, it can be hard to, plan stuff, which is why, having systems in place that automate parts of your health is just so crucial, especially for entrepreneurs.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, most people think, they want to skip the 9 to 5 until they find out the entrepreneurial lifestyle is a lot more than
Yeah,
just a lot of times it's a lot more than 9 to 5, but is that seek to adventure. And I like how you're really niche focused, really trying to find the target audience that you're going to kind of vibe with, connect with, and even going back to your family, they are very analytical and very like data and numbers, and that's an entrepreneur for you. I mean, there are
mm,
people who like to see results, and they know it's going to take time too. They know it's like business; it takes approximately like 5 years to really get good at it, being in business, and for your business to be successful.
I would say it could take 3 years.
Oh yeah, it's about 3 to 5 years.
Mm, for sure.
That's what they say on average, anywhere from like 3 to 5 years. But I mean, to really kind of know what you want to do and you're focus driven, and for people to really trust you, I mean, it takes time to develop that kind of level of trust too.
Mm,
So that's awesome. I love it, man. You have an incredible story, and just everything you've been through is just incredible. Of how you got from the kid in tennis to the man that you are now. Trying to help others get in shape, especially where it's easy to stop by a fast food joint,
mm,
get a quick burger, or in some cases, thinking you're getting a juice that you think is healthy, but until you look at all the sugar content. Because I remember being in college and we had smoothies. I'm like, okay, maybe instead of burger and fries, I'll get a smoothie. And I'm like, oh, when you look at the label, it's like, that's a lot of soda, that's a lot of sugar, that's a lot of just like a lot of stuff extra in it that you didn't think about.
for sure, man. It's crazy how those things sneak up on you. And it's like, it's not easy to find. Like, there's no one place you can go to where, separates, facts from fluff. So it's pretty, it makes sense why people are confused because there's so
Mhm.
many different like resources that are contradictory, and
Right.
it's harder to identify what's legit, what isn't. Is there an ulterior motive to this, or is this source credible? Like you don't know,
Right.
so it's definitely important.
Well, I remember being in my research class, and the number one question would be, who's funding it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, because once you find out who funds it, because I remember there was a study, this is hilarious. I cannot believe to this day that this was a study. What bathroom stall is someone more likely to choose?
Damn.
So you're thinking about, like, are they more likely to pick the middle stall or the outer stall? Or what if someone's in the
Mm,
first stall? We all naturally know what we're going to go and do, but the fact that someone took time to fund something that's just kind of, my mind is at that time was a little silly. It's like, isn't there a little bit more important things that we could study? No? Yes? Okay.
crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, why would they dedicate time, resources, attention to, you know, find that out? It's crazy.
Well, now I understand it because it's about behavior. It's about understanding how people make choices. So actually, if you look at it from a deeper standpoint, it's how do people make choices, and
Mm,
are those choices consistent? So, and at that time, I didn't understand, but the more I learned about humans and how people interact, it's actually a deeper level of meaning. Still find it a little bit silly, not gonna lie, but so, kind of speaking of research, do you do like a lot of different research? Are you like subscribe to anything that need like research articles or anything like that?
for sure, man. So I think the best way to go about it is, looking at each piece of research with like a grain of salt.
Mhm.
Always, questioning things, not looking at one thing and be like, oh, this looks fancy or credible, so it's true. Right.
Right.
And then also like gathering multiple forms. So, some video content, some articles, podcasts, different people, that kind of thing. and then just making your own assessments, but always entertaining the possibility that you could be wrong, right? So that's the way I
Right.
go about it. So someone like I think if there's one guy who like is a go-to guy in the health like optimization space
Hmm.
for, I would say, is Andrew Huberman. His like podcast, long form stuff, really solid, and he goes into really, really like super in depth, and he does all the work of going through meta analysis, digging through all these studies,
Wow.
making sure everything's cohesive, so you can just save the time, watch some Huberman.
Yeah, you're gonna definitely. I know. I don't think I've heard that name. You're gonna definitely send me that information so I can look that up because I'm all about data, information, and research.
For sure.
Make sure what we're doing is working and it's beneficial.
Mm,
And of course, all your social media platforms, your Twitter, the LinkedIn, and everything under the sun is going to be, of course, in the description below. And if you want to, you know, give Raj a call to see if you want to use his services, I know he's a great guy, and I know his just from hearing him today. I've seen his work, I've seen his tweets, especially his sleep study tweets. I gotta say, I do love those. It's all about getting that
appreciate it, bro.
quality sleep because that's where it starts off with the moods, with our feelings, with how we our whole being revolves from getting a good night's sleep and feeling the ability to even be have restful sleep because there's a whole difference between quality and quantity of sleep.
Mm,
Because I know if
100%, man. Appreciate it.
yeah, because I know sometimes if I know the lowest amount of sleep I can function on is about 4 hours, but I think I really
Dang,
feel good around I think like 6.5. I think something somewhere around between I want to say like 6 to about 7 is like where I feel like really good sleep.
mm, nice, man. I can't function off 6, bro. I need a minimum of 7.
But it's kind of hard because I've become like I've always been more of a night owl naturally, but there's
Mm,
just something about waking up before the sun that's just so beautiful. Seeing that sunrise and just that's just all the different colors and everything that just all blends together so beautifully. There's just something that's so nice about waking up early. And then also
mm,
feeling your day is much more productive. Like if the days like when I was a kid and like would wake up maybe 10, 11, because I'd be up to like 2 or 3. I feel like my day would just be wasted. Not gonna lie.
for real, man. Definitely learning to be more of a morning person.
So you're also a little bit of a night owl then.
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Well, I'm just kind of wrapping up things. Do you want to leave the viewers, myself, and just what are some lasting remarks that you want to leave?
Last remarks. Keep listening to Zach's podcast, and that's it. Just eat your protein, do your thing, keep trying things till you figure something out that works, and go all in.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And hey, I definitely noticed too with the more protein I've taken, a little bit more energy I feel. So
Mm.
definitely. So what is the just real quick? What is the recommended amount of protein you should be taking? Just for someone who's like regular, not necessarily like a bodybuilder or something, just like maybe like an average Joe type of person.
I'd say aim for zero point 0.8 grams per
Okay.
pound of body weight minimum. And if you can do more than that, that's good. But if not, that's a very solid one.
All right, that's good to know. Well, again, if you want to look into Raj, potentially hire him, it's going to be all down there below. Definitely follow him on Twitter. He produces nothing but the finest of fine in the heat of the heat. And you're just going to enjoy him. He's an awesome guy. He loves his girlfriend a lot. I mean, they look great together. So if you want some wholesome goodness, check him out. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Remember, keep strong, keep enduring, keep persevering, don't give up, learn from everything, seek things as an opportunity to learn to be better. So that way you can unleash that warrior that's inside that just wants to come out because there's a hero inside you and you can do it. So be blessed and have a great day.